So in here we put the child and then anyone that lives directly within the home, and these are places that the child regularly sleeps. Okay, so I just briefly wanted to talk to you about home visits. So when the parents come to register their children for nursery, they're given a big pack. I mean, we're talking like this size pack full of consent forms, parental detail forms, child detail forms, adults who are allowed to pick up the children, allergy forms, medical forms, all kinds of forms. So that's great because they fill them in, and then when we go out on the home visit, they give us them back filled in and we can bring them back to school. We used to sit on home visits and fill all these forms in with the parents, and it used to take so long. So now we've got home visits down to about half an hour. So I'm just going to hide the name of my school. I'll just fold it over for now. So it is an A4 size piece of paper, but on the front, all it's got, if I flip this up, is the school badge, and then it says all about me. And what does that say? Home visit staff pack. So this is what we fill out with the parents. So the first page that we fill out is who lives in my house. So in here we put the child and then anyone that lives directly within the home, and these are places that the child regularly sleeps. So then we get a full picture of who that child is actually living with. Most of the time it's just siblings and parents, but sometimes there's a grandparent living there, sometimes there's an uncle living there, sometimes there's lodgers living there. So this is really good for safeguarding because we are then aware of who's living within that home with that child. So this form is great for me as the Senko because it asks parents everybody that's involved with the child. So we've got who the health visitor is, social worker. Now the social worker, we also ask, has there been any social worker involved with your family, with any of the children in your family, not just with the child who's at our nursery. These are really important things to know. Most parents are completely outright honest. They'll tell you exactly why they had a social worker, when they had a social worker, and if it's ongoing or if it's finished. Speech therapists involved with any of the children, because then if I've got a child who I think this child could really benefit from being involved in a speech therapist, and I also know brother and sister have been involved, that's great because I can telephone the speech therapist and they already know the family. Paediatrician, this is great. I found out 2 children are actually undergoing a diagnosis for autism at the moment, which I wouldn't have found out straight away. I would have probably found out in a few weeks' time. So these forms are great because they start those conversations really early with the parents. Any physiotherapists, occupational therapists, educational psychologists, CAMS, or anything else. This page is about getting to know the child. So people the children already know at nursery, places that the child likes to go, talk about, or do, or explore. Objects or things which comfort, soothe, or calm the child. In the 2-year-old room, we let the children bring in dummies, bottles, comforters, toys, anything that's going to help them settle down. We ask parents to keep them in their rucksacks so that if we need them, we can go and get them. But we do not stop children from having their comfort objects in the 2-year-old room. Once they start going through to the 3 to 5-year-old room in the nursery, then we start to wean the children off, especially things like dummies. It's really bad for their teeth. It can make them grow in like an arch shape. It's really bad for their speech because if they're used to speaking with a dummy in, it's not forming their tongue shapes properly when they're trying to talk. So for the 2-year-old room, it's absolutely fine. And things that can upset, frighten, or worry my child, because for example we get Santa Claus in at Christmas. It's good to know if the child's going to freak out if they see Santa or if they're going to be okay. This page is still continuing getting to know me. So what other experiences have I had of playing with other children? This is really interesting to find out. If the children are used to going regularly to a nursery, to a childminder, to playgroups, soft play, things like that, they usually tend to have a lot more social skills than the children who just stay at home with mum all the time. And the parents find it much easier to let the children go off and play in the nursery rather than them clinging to their leg and crying and not wanting to be separated from mum and dad. So it's good to know for anxiety levels of how that child's going to come into nursery. Now that's not always the case, not always the case at all, but more often than not. So the next question naturally is, how easily do I leave mum or dad? Different groups that they go to, and then we ask this, so how does your child make their needs known? So if they get angry or frustrated, what do they do? If they're sad, what do they do? And if they're told no, what do they do? Some children like to take themselves away to a corner. Some children lash out. Some children bite, hate, kick. So it's just really good to know what to expect. and prepare ourselves really as staff. Then on the next page we ask what snacks and drinks the children like, don't like or are allergic to, toilet training current stage and how they tell us that they need the toilet. Do they have a nap during the day, what's their bedtime routine and where do they sleep. Then on the next page we ask what's their typical daily routine, typical weekend routine, and is there anything that the parents or the children are worried about at nursery. And then on the last page we just fill in important details, so the name of the child, date of birth, home address, people who hold parental responsibility, the relationship to the children of the adults living in the family home, medical needs of all family members, who will be bringing the children to and from school, and is there anyone who's not allowed to collect your child. Sometimes we have court orders where certain family members are not allowed to pick up the children, so it's just good to find out all this information straight away. So when we're on home visits, I always take a notebook with me. I'll jot down in here any information that is useful that I need to know. It might be things like nursery visits can't be done every single day because that particular parent works, so we work a way around that of how the children are going to come in and make sure they're settled before they full on start nursery. Anything that I need to know, I'll just note in here. And then I got these from Sainsbury's the other day. If you follow my Instagram at Passionate Preschool, you'll have seen me showing you these. Just little folder pockets. I thought these would be ideal for home visits because they open up and you can put papers in here and just keep them nice and secure until I get back to nursery. So these are really, really handy because I don't know about you, but so much of my paperwork gets completely crumpled up in my bag. So if I just keep these in my bag, I can shove things in there and it'll keep them nice and safe. So yeah, that's just a little bit about home visits. If you've got any questions, please just let me know and comment down below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye!